In 1939, the United States was not the most powerful nation in the world. It was wealthy, industrialized, and geographically secure, but it was not yet the center of global power. Europe still dominated international politics. The British Empire stretched across continents. Germany appeared militarily unstoppable. Japan was expanding aggressively across Asia and the Pacific. The global balance of power did not point toward Washington. It pointed toward Berlin, London, and Tokyo. And yet, by 1945, the situation had completely reversed. Europe was devastated. Germany and Japan lay in ruins. Britain was financially exhausted. The Soviet Union had suffered catastrophic destruction. The United States, by contrast, stood economically stronger than ever, militarily dominant, technologically advanced, and positioned at the center of a new global order. World War II did not simply end with Allied victory. It transformed the United States into a superpower. The war accelerated structural forces that were already present, but it also forced changes that would permanently reshape American strategy, industry, finance, and global influence. The emergence of the United States as a superpower was not an accident of victory. It was the result of industrial mobilization, logistical mastery, technological acceleration, economic restructuring, and a fundamental shift in strategic identity. Before the war, the United States had the potential for global dominance, but it had not fully exercised it. The American economy was enormous, but it had been constrained by the Great Depression. Military forces were relatively small. Isolationism shaped public opinion. Many Americans believed that oceans provided sufficient protection from foreign conflicts. The country possessed vast natural resources, immense productive capacity, and geographic security, but it lacked the global infrastructure and political will to project power on a permanent scale. The war changed that completely. When the United States entered World War II, it faced an immediate challenge that demanded total mobilization. The attack on Pearl Harbor eliminated any illusion of distance or safety. The nation now had to fight in both Europe and the Pacific simultaneously. This required not only soldiers and ships, but an economic transformation on a scale never before attempted in human history. American industry shifted from civilian production to military output with astonishing speed. Automobile factories began producing tanks and aircraft engines. Shipyards expanded dramatically, constructing cargo vessels and warships at unprecedented rates. Steel production surged. Oil output reached historic highs. Industrial coordination between government and private companies became systematic and centralized. The scale of production soon exceeded that of every other nation involved in the war. By the middle of the conflict, the United States was producing more military equipment than all Axis powers combined. Aircraft were manufactured in quantities that would have seemed impossible only a few years earlier. Liberty ships were launched so quickly that losses in the Atlantic could be replaced faster than submarines could sink them. Tanks, trucks, artillery pieces, ammunition, and fuel flowed continuously toward multiple fronts. This was not simply industrial growth, it was industrial dominance. What made this transformation decisive was not just output, but sustainability. American factories were untouched by enemy bombing. Infrastructure remained intact. Agricultural production remained stable. While Europe and Asia experienced destruction on a massive scale, the American homeland functioned as a secure base of operations. Distance became a strategic advantage. Two oceans separated American industry from enemy reach. This geographical security allowed the United States to project power globally without risking collapse at home. Even major military setbacks did not threaten national survival. The industrial core remained safe, productive, and expanding. By 1944, American factories were not merely supporting the war effort, they were defining it. Industrial power alone, however, does not create a superpower. The war forced the United States to master logistics on a global scale. Fighting in North Africa, Europe, the Pacific Islands, and across vast oceanic supply routes required an unprecedented coordination of transportation, fuel distribution, port construction, and supply management. Millions of tons of materials had to move reliably across thousands of miles. Every soldier required food, ammunition, medical support, and replacement equipment. War became a test not just of battlefield performance, but of systemic efficiency. The United States built logistical networks that spanned continents. New ports were constructed almost as quickly as territory was captured. Airfields emerged from remote islands. Supply depots expanded across Britain, North Africa, and the Pacific. Shipping lanes were protected through coordinated naval operations. The experience of sustaining simultaneous campaigns across the globe permanently altered American military doctrine. Global reach became normal rather than exceptional. This logistical mastery did not disappear when the war ended. It became the foundation for permanent overseas bases, alliance systems, and rapid deployment capabilities. The infrastructure built during the war evolved into the architecture of post-war American influence. At the same time, the war accelerated technological innovation. Radar development improved detection and coordination. Advances in aircraft design extended strategic bombing capabilities across continents. Mass production techniques became more refined and efficient. Scientific research was integrated directly into military planning. The most dramatic example was the Manhattan Project, which demonstrated that the United States could mobilize scientific, industrial, and financial resources on an unprecedented scale to achieve technological breakthroughs. The atomic bomb did more than end the war in the Pacific. It signaled the arrival of a new kind of power, one rooted in scientific superiority and industrial coordination. The United States emerged not only as the strongest conventional military force, but as the first nuclear power. Technological leadership became a core element of superpower status. Economically, the war reshaped the global financial system. Europe's economies were shattered. Infrastructure was destroyed. Industrial capacity was damaged or dismantled. The United States, by contrast, held the majority of the world's gold reserves, produced a massive share of global industrial output, and faced no domestic reconstruction crisis. American leaders understood that economic dominance could be translated into structural influence. The Bretton Woods system established the U.S. dollar as the central currency of international trade. Institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank were created with American leadership at their core. The Marshall Plan extended economic assistance to rebuild Western Europe, strengthening political alliances while integrating European recovery into an American-led economic framework. Financial architecture replaced traditional imperial control as the mechanism of influence. The war also transformed American political identity. Before 1941, isolationism had strong support. After 1945, permanent engagement became policy. The United States maintained military bases overseas, entered long-term alliances, and accepted responsibility for stabilizing regions far beyond its borders. The creation of NATO institutionalized collective defense under American leadership. The Cold War solidified the expectation that the United States would remain globally active indefinitely. This shift in mindset was as important as industrial strength. A superpower is not only defined by capability, but by willingness to use it. World War II convinced American leaders that retreat from global engagement was neither practical nor safe. The vacuum left by weakened European empires required a new organizing force. The United States stepped into that role. By 1945, the structural conditions were unmistakable. The United States possessed the world's largest Navy and Air Force. It held unmatched industrial capacity. Its economy represented a dominant share of global production. Its homeland was intact. Its technological achievements were unmatched. Its currency anchored international finance. Its military forces were deployed across multiple continents. No other nation combined all of these elements simultaneously. The transformation from major power to superpower did not occur because of a single battle or a single decision. It emerged from a convergence of geography, industry, logistics, technology, finance, and strategic adaptation. The war acted as an accelerator, compressing decades of development into a few intense years. When World War II ended, the United States did not simply return to normal. There was no return to the pre-war world. Instead, a new global order emerged, one structured around American economic strength, military reach, and institutional leadership. The war had revealed what industrialized global conflict demanded, and the United States was uniquely positioned to meet those demands. In this sense, World War II was not only a military conflict, it was a restructuring event. It destroyed old empires, weakened traditional centers of power, and elevated a nation that combined resources, geography, coordination, and ambition at an unprecedented scale. The United States did not become a superpower overnight, but between 1941 and 1945, the essential foundations were built. Factories expanded. Supply networks stretched across oceans. Scientific innovation accelerated. Financial systems reorganized. Political strategy shifted from isolation to leadership. By the time the war ended, the transformation was complete. The 20th century would be defined by that shift. The Cold War, global trade systems, military alliances, technological competition, and international institutions all emerged from the structural realities created during World War II. The war did not just determine who won. It determined who would shape the decades that followed. In 1939, the United States stood at the edge of global power. By 1945, it stood at the center of it. The war did not create American strength from nothing. It revealed it, expanded it, and locked it into the foundation of a new world order. And from that moment forward, global stability, conflict, trade, and diplomacy would revolve around a nation that had learned not only how to win a world war, but how to organize the world that came after it. If you want more deep, calm, strategic breakdowns like this, subscribe now. This channel is not just about wars, it's about understanding the forces that actually shape history. Leave a comment telling me which turning point of World War II you want analyzed next. And if you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of viewer this channel is built for. See you soon.